Hello and welcome to the $5 Quilt Club month 10 video on traditional piecing. So I'm going to show you how to piece this together. You are going to want to cut 4 of the B, 1 of C, and 4 of A. So you can see I have all my pieces cut out really nicely. So I already made a block doing foundation using this fabric, so I thought it'd be really fun since it's October to do some spiders. So you can see here I already have pieced together these two, and we're going to be piecing this together in rows. So here's your top, your middle, and your bottom row. So all you're going to do is going to be lining up your fabric just like this, corner to corner, and it should line up nicely on all the sides. It is nice to stick a pin in there and then also have the pin facing which seam that you're going to be sewing. So you're going to want to stitch this seam, so I have my pin facing that one. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this seam with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then also using a 1.8 stitch length. That's what I like to set my machine to. It does mean that it's going to be a little bit harder to seam rip, but it also makes it so that you won't see any of my stitching. So since I am using both a really light and a really dark fabric, I want to make sure that you don't see any of those threads. So there's the first row, and then you're going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to fold these right sides together and then slide it over to my sewing machine and stitch away. Okay, and then also to the next one. I do like to lay them out and position them so that I'm always sewing the right sides together and I don't make any placement mistakes. Triangles can sometimes be a little tricky. These ones are really nice and straightforward. I'm moving my pieces here. There we go. Okay, and then we'll get our last row. And so this one, I'm going to use a pin just so that we are sewing the right way. So I'm going to line up my edges there. Put one pin into place. Make a smaller bite. It will help make the fabric stay together a little bit better. When you take a large bite with the pin, it can actually slide around quite a bit. So I only like to do it just a tiny bit there, just enough for it to go. Oh. I don't have my straight stitch needle plate on. Okay, when I have the straight stitch and needle plate on, I won't get any of this funky stuff there. So I will redo that. But might be hidden in the seam allowance. If not, then I'll go ahead and redo it. But again, right sides together, and then take it right over to your sewing machine and stitch that edge there. Okay, so now is the fun part of stitching the rows together. So all you got to do is fold right sides together. This is where I like to nest my seams, make sure that they're going to line up really nicely. So I'm just going to fold one seam one way, the other seam the other way. And if you have pins, that's great. If you want to use clips, you can use clips. Either way, you just want to make it so that when you're looking at that, it is nice and perfectly lined up. Your edges should line up on both ends, and then you can stitch that seam. So everything's held into place there, and then 1/4 inch seam allowance. This pin doesn't look like it'll be in the way, so I'll just... Okay. And repeat that same process so that you can get really nice points. See how nicely that lines up when you do your nesting of the seams there. So that's that one. And then this one, same thing. I think that part could be, I'm definitely going to fix that. So I'll just show you, this is the last seam that you would do. You would again try to nest your seams. I'm going to have to seam rip that and redo it. But this seam is going to the right there, so this seam over there is going to have to go to the left, and then you'll have to do the same thing there. So and then you would line those up really nicely, and then stitch down the side. So if you have a 7.5 inch template, if you guys got our custom templates at the beginning of the year, you can use those, or you can use a Creative Grids. This is 6.5, so this is not the right size, but 7.5 inches is what your finished block should measure. If you guys have any other questions, make sure you give me a call, text me, email me. I'm always happy to help. Thank you so much.